It's been 24 hours since the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Netflix series has debuted, and the fandom has spoken. It has been quite divisive. You've had fans that think it's probably the greatest thing ever, and then you have fans that think it's not that great. And it's amazing how balanced that really is. A lot of people feel either one way or the other. And I tried to really understand where some people were coming from, because it's not always about the words, but where people really are coming from with this. And I found that younger fans tend to enjoy this series more, where older fans tend to be a little more critical of it. But it gets even more interesting when we talk about people that have worked on the brand or voice actors. And one caught my eye more than any other, and it was that of Optimus Primal himself from Beast Wars, Garry Chalk. He watched the first episode of the series, and he really wasn't feeling the characterization or voice acting. And I get where Gary's coming from, but Garry also has to understand that he was very lucky in the structure of how his Transformers series was done as opposed to how it's being done today. It's kind, I don't want to go into a separate rant, but it's kind of the sad evolution and, de-evolution, if anything, of what has happened to modern Transformer media. Animated, that we covet so much, was those full 21 episode to 26 episodes, sometimes even more, seasons with 21 to 25 episodes of content. Prime was the same thing. A lot of people loved Transformer Prime. It had that same structure. And then Robots in Skies in 2015 came out, and it did so bad and performed so poorly that it kind of almost scared Hasbro into never going to that format ever again. And while I loved Cyberverse, I thought Cyberverse was a great series, it's the same thing I keep saying over and over. I wish there was more, because those little 10-minute spurts of having to tell a story so rapid fire led to a lot of, I don't know, it fell short. And if those same episodes were 21-minute episodes, we would have had so much more characterization. Because at the end of the day, everyone's like, oh, well, they're 13-episode seasons, and we had 3 of them. It's like, yeah, but when you really add it up, it was 6-episode seasons because of how little content there was. 10-minute episodes, each episode had at least 45 seconds of credits. They were more like 9-minute episodes or 8.5. So there wasn't really much going on. And like I said, you have the beginning of an episode and the conclusion of an episode. Sometimes that eats up in the time too, that you don't really have any time for stuff in the middle. And that was kind of the same thing going on here with Siege. You have 6 episodes, and while despite the fact that the runtime is 21 minutes, the credits are 2 minutes of it. So you really have 19-minute episodes. So you really have only, less than 2 hours of content, and everything was rapid fire. And because you have that rapid fire kind of thing, the actors and the voice actors and the content really only have so much to work with. Combined with the lone booth studio voice acting sessions, which I absolutely hate. And I always say, look no further than Beast Wars Megatron's David Kaye amazing performance, and then look at him doing another Megatron. Granted, it's a different Megatron, but still a Megatron for Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, and how limited he was, just because he had to be in that lone booth anime dubbing kind of situation. So it leads to all of those hurdles that exist. Transformers Siege War for Cybertron, like I said, it's a good start. It's a solid 7. There's stuff that I'm not crazy about it. There's stuff that, could be improved. But there's stuff I like also. But at the end of the day, I do get where Gary's coming from, but Garry was very lucky. He was very lucky because he was at a time when you had that group session, you had Scott McNeil, you had, Ian Corlett, you had that crew of people together doing some of the greatest voice acting that could be done, playing off of each other, with Sue Blue as a voice director, making sure all of that chaos worked together perfectly. And then you took that audio, that perfectly organic audio, and then was interlaced with, at the time, the most cutting-edge CG ever created for television in a 21-minute format over a span of 26 episodes of that very first season. And you were going to get magic. You were going to get magic. And magic it was. Siege, it's a single booth. People walk in at different times. They don't even get to communicate with each other. And then it's, 19 minutes over 6 episodes with writing that was okay at best. People really need to understand where those writers were coming from, too. A lot of them, unfortunately, it feels like they kind of were, okay, we're using this character, all right, and then they would quickly go on Google, read the first paragraph, and go, okay, that's that character's MO. So it was what it was. But I mean, it's been very, separated, the fandom of how they feel about this. Some people are super excited and they want to now run out and get the toys, and some people are like, I know that a lot of my casual science fiction fans and people that I know in real life have contacted me and go like, hey, have you seen the new series? And they were kind of hot and cold about it. They weren't sure how they felt, but they kind of felt that it was kind of And those are people that, these are the same people that don't really know much about Marvel movies, but see all the Marvel movies, and they enjoy those. So it has a lot to say about what is being really sold here. I firmly hope and believe that this is just the early hiccups of this first, and I use air quotes here, season. We call it chapter 1, or the first part of the trilogy. But I just hope it's the early hiccups of it. I mean, the things that a lot of people have been complaining about are actually kind of different than the stuff I've been complaining about. Because I feel that there's just a lot more that could be done here. And again, hopefully Earthrise will, chapter 2, will rectify a lot of that. I mean, one of my big concerns is now we're going to Earth. And is this prehistoric Earth? Is this modern day Earth? How are they going to handle that? Is it going to be Earth, but it's just going to be these big empty environments because judging by how Siege is, there's only so many character models they could have? I mean, I never really sat down and counted it, but I mean, it's pretty nuts. Like there's 14 character models in this whole show, and then they just built like entire armies out of impactors and reflectors. Well, Reflector was always an army builder, but and Ironhides and Chromia and everybody. Like it's something that I'm really curious how this is going to be moving forward, because I worry, I said this before, that the success of the Siege Netflix series is going to be a strong indicator of how Transformers media is going to be depicted in the future. If this is a runaway success, then this is something Hasbro is going to continue doing. It'll be Netflix exclusives, small little bursts, and that'll be that, with some, live action movies to fill it out, with no more, TV series kind of stuff. But if this really gets a hot and cold reaction, we might return to that Cyberverse format. And I hope and in a lot of ways, I kind of hope we don't return to that 10-minute format, where it's like me going like, can we just go back to 21 minutes and 13 episodes, 26 maybe for syndication. I don't know, can we return to that world? Is that world exist? Is the attention span of TV viewers even there anymore for that? People want to binge now, so 6 episodes was a lot more bingeable than 26 episodes. I don't know. I look at the anime world, and it's funny how this was advertised as an anime, but I look at the anime world and how anime will put out 26 episode to 13 episode to 52 episode series, and people just eat that up, and it finds tons of success. And yet the Western animation world still is trying to find itself. It's so confused. And I really hope that we grow from this and figure out something and move to the next stage of what could be with Earthrise's second chapter. And again, a lot of these different creative people are not feeling it. They're not feeling it. And I don't want to name names with some of the others. I'll let them speak for them. But Garry Chalk was the one that I really wanted to bring up, because when you have, Optimus Primal himself going like, I ain't feeling this. That has to, that's not sour grapes. Gary's successful. He's been in movies. He's live out. He's always busy. And I guarantee if he would have wanted this role, he could have easily gotten it in a heartbeat. He's just busy with other stuff. But it's something where I'm not seeing it. And I think Gary's not seeing it either. And while, like I said, it's a solid 7. It's not a breakout success, but it's not a huge failure either. It's more there's a lot to improve, If you came home from school and you had like a C+ or a B-, your parents would be like, it's good, but you could do better, And I think that that's what it is here too, is that it could do better, and hopefully it will do better, because I think we got a little spoiled on animated, Prime, Beast Wars, these 22 to 25 minute, 26 episode to 13 episodes, full fleshed out shows. And we've kind of trickled down. And I mean, I really feel Robots in Disguise 2015 really was what hurt Transformers, was because that just underperformed terribly. Especially even in Japan. The second half of Transformers Prime and Transformers Adventure, which was what Robots in Disguise was called over there, those were terrible in terms of viewership in Japan, especially. Everything in its time slot was defeating it, and it was so bad. So between Japan and America, there's a little bit of a de-evolution going on. And I think we really need to have some... Look, I get it. Some people really like the show. They do. But I really need to see where people are coming from when they say that. And a legitimate argument. I hate just, small little paragraph of why they think it's good, when there's probably something deeper going on underlying of why they think it's good. In the same way that someone who's I don't know, really into Energon, I'd really like to sit down with them, or Superlink, and ask them what was it that they think was so great about it, as opposed to just oh, it's this and this and that's it, and there's no retort. But yeah, I'm really curious. And I mean, look, Garry is one of many that have come forward and said, hey, it's not as hot as you people think it is. Another individual, I don't want to name names, but also big name in the Transformer creative world, said that, a voice actor, said that everyone kind of sounds like they're talking like William Shatner. And of course he would then follow up with saying it has to do with the recording style. And I probably kind of gave away who he is a little bit there, and he is dead on. The limitations of what is created by the series by runtime, episode number, and recording style leads to the limitations that it could succeed. So let's hope for the best, and moving forward, maybe we'll get a growth in the same way that Beast Wars Season 2 was worlds better than Beast Wars Season 1, although they all have their good moments. But let's just hope there's an evolution there too when we get to Earthrise.